The following contains elements of horror that may be too intense for some. Viewer discretion is advised. Have you ever walked into a room and found a vampire? No, not the sexy kind, but a foul beast with bony limbs and ashen skin. The kind that snarls as you enter, like a beast about to pounce. The kind that roots you to the spot with its sunken, hypnotic eyes, rendering you unable to flee as you watch the damn hideous thing uncoil from the shadows. Has your heart started racing, though your legs refuse to? Have you felt time slow as the creature crosses the room in the darkness of a blink? Have you shuddered with fear when it places one clawed hand atop your head and another under your chin so it can tilt you, exposing your neck? Have you squirmed as its rough, dry tongue slides down your cheek, over your jaw to your throat, in a slithering search that's seeking an artery? Have you felt its hot breath release in a hiss against your skin when it probes your pulse, the flow that leads to your brain? Has its tongue rested there, throbbing slightly as if savoring the moment? Have you then experienced a sinking, sucking blackness as you discover that not all vampires feed on blood? Some feed on memories. Well, have you? Maybe not, but let me rephrase the question. Have you ever walked into a room and suddenly forgot why you came in? Last night, a friend rushed me out of the house to catch the opening act at a local bar's music night. After a few drinks, I realized my phone wasn't in my pocket. I checked the table we were sitting at, the bar, the bathrooms, and after no luck, I used my friend's phone to call mine. After 2 rings, someone answered, gave out a low, raspy giggle, and hung up. They didn't answer again. I eventually gave it up as a lost cause and headed home. I found my phone laying on my nightstand, right where I had left it. There was a story about how a guy was driving through the mountains and came across a crash. The car wasn't damaged at all, and almost deliberately placed in the middle of the road. He drove past it until he saw 2 people laying in the middle of the road. He pulls up in front of this crash, and then when he looks back, the 2 people are sat up, and 20 or so eyes are reflecting in his taillights in the surrounding bushes. He slams on the gas and goes. The story scares me, because this kind of thing happens in mountain tribes who are either cannibalistic or crazy. To celebrate their first year in university, 6 friends went camping into the wilderness. After driving for several hours from the nearest town, they discovered a lagoon, nestled beside a cliff, ideal for driving. They set up camp in the woods nearby and spent the evening swimming in the warm, clear water. As the sun sunk below the trees, one of the friends went up to the highest point of the cliff and jumped off while the others watched. Their laughter slowly subsided as they waited for him to surface. It took less than a minute for them to dive in after their friend. Struggling and sputtering among the reeds in the lagoon, they searched hopelessly for him. Finally, they disentangled themselves and came up, but never saw their friend again. Heartbroken, they returned to the city and passed a strange and lonely year in which their only solace was the knowledge that they would return to the lagoon to honor the anniversary of their friend's death. A year passed, and they returned to the lagoon for their memorial. As they approached, they saw their friend standing there, his head bowed. Excitedly, they called to him and began running towards him, but he didn't turn. As they got closer, they called him more desperately, still to no avail. With joy, they ran towards him, but then stopped dead. On the beach, there was not 1 cross, but 5. Alright, so this one's for everyone who's been messaging me to do a video on Fallout. I hope you enjoy this. The Moors are having a baby. I glanced up from the table, surprised. They got the okay? My husband nodded. The paperwork came in today, so I heard. He lowered his eyes in sorrow. Poor Joanna. She's only 53. I breathed. A bead of sweat dripped from my brow, landing on the cool concrete floor of the bunker. I tried to remind myself to be thankful to this place, the concrete tomb, but it grew more difficult each day. The company that sprung up in time for the largest nuclear war in the world had designed the vault to sustain 1,000 people for as long as it took the surface to be inhabitable again. Exactly 1,000 people. Poor Joanna indeed.